Okay, we're on the record in case number 9780, in the matter of the application of Clyde Young Road Solar 1, LLC, for Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity to construct a 5-megawatt solar photovoltaic generating facility in Frederick County, Maryland. Take appearances, starting with the applicant.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Max Cook on behalf of the applicant.
Good afternoon. Power Plant Research Program.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Sandra McLemore on behalf of the Power Plant Research Program.
Good afternoon. And staff.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Harrison Scher on behalf of the Commission's technical staff.
All right. Any preliminary matters we need to take care of? All right, Mr. Cook.
Yes, Your Honor.
Exhibits?
I do have several exhibits to mark and enter into the record. If acceptable, I'll read them all to be marked and then moved in at once at the end, Your Honor.
Please.
And I believe that the certificate of publication for the pre-hearing conference is already in the evidentiary record as applicant exhibit 1.
Yes.
And with that, to be marked as applicant exhibit 2 would be the applicant's petition document filed on February 12th, 2025, consisting of 10 pages under mail log number 315696. To be marked as applicant exhibit 3, the applicant's environmental review document filed on February 12th, 2025, consisting of 52 pages under mail log number 315696. To be marked as applicant exhibit 4 would be the applicant's appendices, also filed on February 12th, 2025, consisting of 626 pages under mail log number 315696. To be marked as applicant exhibit 5, the applicant's filing from the Monocacy Commission, filed on March 10th, 2025, consisting of 4 pages under mail log number 316570. To be marked as applicant exhibit 6 would be the applicant's responses to PPRP data request 1, filed on April 30th, 2025, consisting of 83 pages under mail log number 318432. To be marked as applicant exhibit 7 is the direct testimony of Drew Funk, filed on June 13th, 2025, consisting of 7 pages under mail log number 319589. To be marked as applicant exhibit 8 would be the direct testimony of Ben Clemmer, also filed on June 13th, 2025, consisting of 6 pages under mail log number 319589. To be marked as applicant exhibit 9, the certificates of publication for the first public comment hearing, filed on June 18th, 2025, consisting of 9 pages under mail log number 319692. To be marked as applicant exhibit 10, the supplemental direct testimony of Drew Funk, filed on September 2nd, 2025, consisting of 4 pages under mail log number 322005. To be marked as applicant exhibit 11, the supplemental direct testimony of Ben Clemmer, also filed on September 2nd, 2025, consisting of 32 pages under mail log number 322005. To be marked as applicant exhibit 12, the certificates of publication for the second public comment hearing, filed on October 10th, 2025, consisting of 9 pages under mail log number 323174. To be filed as marked as applicant exhibit 13, the sign affidavit filing from the second public comment hearing, filed on October 15th, 2025, consisting of 5 pages under mail log number 323303. To be marked as applicant exhibit 14, the applicant's first settlement status update, filed on November 5th, 2025, consisting of 1 page under mail log number 324034. And finally, to be marked as applicant exhibit 15, the applicant's second settlement status update, filed on November 7th, 2025, consisting of 1 page under mail log number 324137. And Your Honor, with that, I would respectfully request that applicant exhibits 2 through 5 be admitted into the evidentiary record.
Okay, applicant exhibits 2 through 15 are marked, and it's my understanding that they're being entered by stipulation, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, applicant exhibits 2 through 15 are entered into the record.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And do you have witnesses available?
I do, Your Honor. I have applicant witnesses Funk and Clemmer both available for Your Honor.
Okay, how about Mr. Funk?
And Your Honor, I do have that brief attestation as well that you requested.
Okay, yeah, why don't you go ahead?
I hereby attest that the witness is not in communication with any other individual, including but not limited to any instant messaging application. And with that, he's available, Your Honor.
have your supplemental direct testimony in front of you? I do. Okay. So starting, I'm on page, well, the pages aren't numbered. The first page. You're discussing the county's letter of February 4, 2025, which was included in Appendix N of the ERD. And then you state, due to the county's requirement that community solar projects must be an accessory use in all locations, the county noted that the project does not meet the county's zoning requirements. You go on to say the project deviates from the county's accessory use requirement. Due to the project pursuing a CPCN, it will not obtain an accessory use permit and zoning certificate from the county. Is that your testimony? Yes. Okay.
My apologies. Thank you.
Do you need me to back up? Or did you review the license conditions that PPRP recommended in this case?
I did, Your Honor.
Do you have those in front of you?
Yes.
So PPRP recommended license condition number 11 is entitled County Permits and Approvals. You see that?
Yes, I do.
And in B, the recommended license condition provides that if the county fails to approve or deny any required local permits in accordance with Public Utilities Article 7-207H2I and 2i, or if the county fails to take action, the project owner shall file in the docket request for an evidentiary hearing before the commission. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Is that what you expect to happen when you don't pursue or obtain an accessory use permit or zoning certificate from the county?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you're not asking that the commission at this time preempt those particular provisions of Frederick County's code?
Your Honor, we would ask that for preemption in that particular requirement.
Okay, Mr. Cook, do you understand my question? Are you doing it now or are you coming back?
I do, Your Honor. We are requesting that now.
Okay, so doesn't the license condition need to change?
Your Honor, can I ask?
I don't know, Your Honor. My interpretation of, I assume 11B is what you're referencing, Your Honor. My interpretation is that this would occur if the county would not process the site plans for the project, and my understanding of procedurally where that the project is proceeding or the applicant is proceeding with local permitting for site plan approval with the county, and the applicant expects to receive that. In the event that the applicant would not receive that, it would come back to the commission under 11B.
Okay. It seems to include more than just final site plan approval, though, because it says all applicable permits. You see that? And any required permits. And so I guess you're saying this is no longer a required permit because of the CPCN, but it's a little circular.
I understand your point, Your Honor.
I just want it to be clear. I don't want the order to not expressly preempt, but then you argue that it's preempted. Might as well be express, but then, clear up this condition.
That makes sense to me, Your Honor. If acceptable, the applicant could work with PPRP to work that out. I do want to make clear, as I indicated, that our goal is to preempt, or our request is to preempt that accessory use provision. And if Your Honor believes that the waters may be muddied based on this condition, we could take that back.
Okay. Do you understand the accessory use requirement of Frederick County? Can you speak to that at all?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. So the accessory use requirement under the Frederick County's ordinance does not explicitly state that the generation produced on site needs to be used on site. When I originally reached out to the county to gain clarity on the accessory use provision, it was unclear at first whether or not we met the requirements of accessory use. There was some discussion, specifically the farming practices on the property was not considered a principal use because of the outbuildings associated with the farming practices were located across Lagore Bridge Road on the parcel. However, the parcel is divided. Until we got clear notification from the county that we were not in compliance with the accessory use, we had already proceeded with the project.
What's your understanding of the purpose behind this particular provision?
As I said, Your Honor, it's a little unclear to me. The nature of an accessory use does not necessarily apply to community solar projects because generally, and especially if the power is not fueling the farming operation, the generation is not going directly to the farming operation, it's unclear to me how a community solar project could be considered an accessory use.
Yeah, that was kind of my question. Whether this provision of Frederick County's code would really prohibit almost all community solar.
That's my understanding, Your Honor.
So then, I think it's, yeah, the next page of your testimony, you talk about the requirements in the county's letter that the applicant's going to adhere to, and I believe you have copied them verbatim from the letter. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Item B, at line 12, that the landscape buffer must be installed as early in the development process as possible and prior to the activation of the solar facility. Do you know if the county enforces that?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, are we in the supplemental testimony?
Yes. Second page of your supplemental testimony.
And which row?
Okay, so the second page, line 12, is item B. The landscape buffer must be installed as early in the development process as possible. You see that? You want to hand him a hard copy?
I do, Your
Might
Honor.
be easier.
Yes, I see that, Your Honor.
Okay, do you know if the county enforces that?
As Attorney Cook mentioned, we're currently in the process of working through the review of the landscaping plan. We have not discussed this provision yet. We do anticipate that not only the landscaping bond be in place prior to the building permit being issued. However, in terms of timing of installation of the landscape buffer, that has not come up in conversation or review at this stage.
So then, after that, you talk about vegetation being used to establish a visual screen, and E is vegetative screening must be placed between the fence and the public view. Did the applicant perform any type of viewshed analysis?
We did not perform a viewshed analysis for this project, Your Honor.
Do you have any type of visual evidence, any sort of picture or rendering of what the project would look like from any vantage point?
This moment, I don't believe we have a visual rendering.
Do you have any site plans with you?
I have, yes, exhibit.
I'm going to look at Google Maps, and the parties are on notice that I will be looking at Google Maps. So, there are some houses, I guess in the southeast corner, or southeast from the project, I should say.
Yes, Your Honor.
Where that? So we don't know if the project will be visible to those houses, do we?
Having been on site, it's highly unlikely that the project would be visible, especially since we are installing a 25-foot vegetative buffer around the entire perimeter of the project. And there is some existing vegetation there as well. But we do not have visual screening to confirm that.
Okay. When you install the landscape buffer, initially it's a minimum of 6 feet in height, correct?
Correct.
So how long is it going to take to get to 25? Did you say 25 feet in height? You said width.
Width, sorry.
Okay,
Yep.
so 6 foot in height, you don't know, you're saying the 25-foot width is enough to buffer it, but regardless of height?
I believe those homes are located down at a lower elevation. I am not, but I do not have a visual rendering to confirm that. I may defer to witness Clemmer to expand
Okay.
on that answer.
Yeah, I can talk to him about it. Because what I did was, in Google Maps, you put the little man down
Mhm.
the road. Yeah. So what I did was look where you're proposing the driveway. Of course, there'll be a break in the vegetative buffer.
In the, depending on which concept plan you have, we did receive feedback from both the county and PPRP during our site walk, and we have extended the vegetative screening so that the only break would be at the edge of the access road, at either edge of the access road. So we continued the vegetative screening all the way to the entrance.
I saw that. I'm
Okay.
looking at the one that was filed as Attachment A to the supplemental direct testimony of Benjamin Clemmer, September
Yep.
2.
That would be the most up-to-date design.
And it just seemed to me, again, when I put the little man down on the road,
Sure.
that these two houses might be able to look through the drive where there's a break in the landscape. I can't confirm that they can't. Let's put it that way, without something. And I can talk to witness Clemmer about it. I remember there's some testimony about the closest occupied residence. Do you know if that's the one on the west side of Lagore Bridge Road that he was speaking of? Or?
To my knowledge, that the residence on the west side of Lagore Bridge is not occupied.
This one here with the recycling bin in front? In August of '24? Does that look familiar?
I guess I was. It's my understanding that house was not occupied, Your Honor, but I could be mistaken. And Mr. Clemmer could advise as to whether that's the one he was referencing.
Do you have the ERD in front of you?
I do.
Okay, so on page 1 of the ERD, you defined the site as the land that the project will occupy, correct? I'm on the second paragraph under project overview.
One second. Yes.
And the land that the project will occupy, according to the first line of that paragraph, is approximately 21.4 acres of a 36.7 acre property, correct?
Correct.
So when you refer to the site, you're talking about the 21.4 acres, right?
Correct.
So if you go to page 17 of the ERD, let me know when you're there.
There.
Do you see B, environmental suitability?
Yes, Your Honor.
And the first line says, the site does not contain significant environmental or cultural resources impacts. Can you tell me what that means?
Environmental culture. Okay, so we, the site itself, our project area, is not impacting, or the area inside of the fence line does not contain environmental resources.
Or cultural resources?
Correct.
Is that what that means?
Yes. Cultural resources would be any historic properties as defined by the MHT.
But only within the 21 acres?
That's correct. But MHT did provide a letter saying that we are not impacting any, the project, regardless of whether there are cultural resources within the project area, which there are not, but we're not impacting any cultural resources.
Your interpretation of the Maryland Historical Trust's letter, when it talks about historic properties, is also cultural resources?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then farther down this page, 17, is where I took, where I was getting the project array area is designed to have approximately 220 feet of distance from the closest adjacent neighbor's residence, providing a considerable buffer zone. And I believe you, you sponsored this section, but I cannot talk to witness Clemmer.
Yes, I see this, Your Honor.
So you want me to talk to him, though, about which residences are?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. But then you go on to state, furthermore, the existing trees on and neighboring the subject parcel provide additional privacy, effectively screening the project from neighbors to the north and west. Do you see that sentence?
I do.
I don't understand that sentence because there are no trees along Clyde Young Road to the north or Oak Hill Road to the west, pursuant to both Google Maps and PPRP witness Brock's testimony.
I see what you're saying, Your Honor, and I believe that should say south and east.
So instead of neighbors to the north and west, it should say neighbors to the southeast? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, Your Honor.
And just as a point of clarification, on page 8, you stated that the county was provided with the environmental review document and concept site plan for the project on October 9, 2024. I was just wondering, was that the final or was that an earlier draft?
That was an earlier draft, Your Honor. They have since received the updated concept plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, Mr. Clemmer is available as well.
Good, excellent.
And I hereby attest that the witness is not in communication with any other individual, including but not limited to any instant messaging applications.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the testimony that you're about to give?
I do.
Could you please state your first and last name and spell it for the record, please?
Yes, it's Benjamin Clemmer, BenjaminClemmer.
Do you have any copies of the conceptual site plan with you?
Yes, Your Honor. Digital.
Okay. I don't know, well, I guess you can zoom in. I was wondering a few things. So in that southeast corner, do you know why the houses on the east side of Lagore Bridge Road are not depicted on the plan?
So they are depicted on the aerial, but not planimetrically, you're saying, with line work, Your Honor? Is
Correct.
that your question? We just wouldn't have had survey on those parcels.
Okay.
So everywhere else that we have that line work, that was from an actual field survey.
Okay. And then the one property, I guess not the one in the, right in the corner, but the next one to the north, says lands.
The Oak Hill Church of God?
Yes. And I think you noted that there was something about a crossing, right? They're crossing Lagore Bridge Road to get to church.
I'm not quite sure what you're referencing.
Where did I see that? I saw that somewhere else. That there, if you look on Google Maps, you'll see crosswalk.
Oh, yeah, they're parking across Lagore Bridge. Yes, that's correct.
Well, the church is across Oak Hill Road. Is over here. And there's crosswalks both across Oak Hill Road to the parking lot and across Lagore Bridge Road to what I'm guessing is a property. This house is owned by the church somehow? Because it, again, your map says, your plan says lands of Oak Hill Church of God.
Then I would assume that to be correct, yes.
Okay. So, Mr. Funk said you might be more familiar with which house was discussed when you talked about the distance to the closest occupied residence.
Yes, that would have been in reference to, it would be the parcel directly northeast of, or northwest of the intersection of Lagore Bridge and Oak Hill.
This one?
Yes.
Okay, and that's, is it your testimony that that residence is unoccupied?
I do not know if that is currently occupied or not.
It's not related to, it's not the petitioning property owner or anything
No.
like that? It's a completely
No.
separate?
Correct.
Okay. I guess, and the other question, which I think Mr. Funk answered, was, it would seem as though the driveway is going to be north of what was a little old driveway for that property,
Mm-hmm.
Driveway into the project is going to be just north of there, right? So if you
Correct.
back up on Lagore Bridge, there might be a sight line from these two houses through the gravel drive of the project. I can't tell.
Yeah, so I would not expect that to be the case. If you take a close look at the site plan, we extend the landscape buffer back inward into the parcel. I'm kind of eyeballing it, maybe 100 feet or so. So it would shorten that angle that you would have potential to see through from that property which you were just discussing into the project, if that makes sense.
No, it all makes sense. It looks as though there's going to be a gap, though, right, where the road is? There has to be a gap. There can't be trees where the road is, right? So the
Well,
road-
correct, yes, correct.
So if one's standing in the right place, you're going to be able to see through along the road at an angle into the project, right?
Yeah, at some point along the road, absolutely. Your Honor, I could also clarify an earlier question that you had asked of Mr. Funk. Would that be appropriate?
Which one was it? Which one was it?
So it was in regards to your question regarding that subject, property on page 17, about existing trees to the north and west. I admit that that sentence is probably somewhat poorly worded. It was meant to be from the vantage point of that property that we were just looking at to the north and west of that property, it would be screened. So not the northwest of the subject parcel, but to the northwest of the potentially impacted adjacent parcel.
And what are you referring to? You're talking about the house, though, on the west side of Lagore Bridge Road.
Correct.
Okay, but not the two houses that I was talking about, and not the church across Oak Hill Road, right?
Correct.
There's no, again, no sort of visual evidence of what someone at the church would see, correct?
Correct. That is not something that we have specifically analyzed.
So do you have your supplemental direct in front of you?
Yes, Your Honor.
On page 8, line 18, the question posed was, does Frederick County plan to review the decommissioning plan? And you testified, the applicant does not anticipate that the county will review this plan and estimate.
That is correct. That's
So-
my understanding.
Your understanding that they will never review the decommissioning plan?
Yes. So I had reviewed their ordinance at the time of preparation of this supplemental testimony. The ordinance is fairly lean and appears to indicate that if the proposed solar project is pursuing a CPCN through the PSC, the county would defer review of that estimate and plan to the state.
And what was titled Proposed Site Conditions Plan, that was attachment A to your supplemental direct testimony filed on September 2, 2025, represented a 90% design, correct?
Approximately, yes.
And I believe you said what you expected to change in response to a bench data request from PPRP was stormwater management type items. Do you recall that testimony or that response to PPRP?
Which specific? Where did I note that? Okay, I see. Item line 21. Yeah, so I indicated that we are submitting a stormwater management plan for review to the county, but we don't expect there to be any significant changes to the site layout or overall design. And so far that has proved correct. We've received one round of comment back from Frederick County, and no major changes to the site are currently proposed.
So would you say it's unlikely that the number of panels will change at this point?
Yes, that's fair.
what type of changes to the stormwater management would you anticipate?
So there were no substantive changes to like the actual stormwater management design. It was more minor administrative revisions, adding the stormwater management plan review number for the county, county-specific signature blocks, changing some details, construction details, but there were no overall changes to the like the proposed BMPs, nothing like that.
So nothing that would change the decommissioning plan, correct?
I just want to review the plan before I answer. That's correct, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did I not see a exhibit list from you, Ms. McLemore?
Yes, Your Honor. I thought I sent it. I have it here. If not,
That's okay. I didn't. I looked for it this morning. I didn't see it, but you can go ahead. Either way. you can
apologies
still-
for that. I
you
thought I
can
probably.
still- You can
I
still
thought I had
introduce
sent-
exhibits.
No, I thought I had sent it, so I apologize for that. Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to read in the exhibits for PPRP to the record
Okay.
to be marked. PPRP Exhibit 1 is the direct testimony of Barbara Brox, which was filed on September 30th, 2025, under Mel Log number 322845, consisting of 33 pages and 2 appendices. PPRP Exhibit 2 is a secretarial letter dated September 30th, 2025, under Mail Log number 322845, consisting of 1 page. PPRP Exhibit 3 is the recommended license conditions, filed September 30th, 2025, under Mail Log number 322845, consisting of 12 pages. PPRP Exhibit 4 is PPRP Project Assessment Report for the Clyde Young Road Solar Project, filed September 30th, 2025, under Mail Log number 322845, consisting of 33 pages. PPRP Exhibit 5 is PPRP Appendix A, Applicant Responses to Selected PPRP Data Request, filed September 30th, 2025, under Mail Log number 322845, consisting of 13 pages. PPRP Exhibit 6 is Par Appendix B, which are the reference sections of PPRP's website, filed September 30th, 2025, Mail Log number 322845, consisting of 29 pages. PPRP Exhibit 7 are the revised recommended license conditions, a clean copy. That was filed November the 7th, 2025, under Mail Log number 324130, consisting of 12 pages. And PPRP Exhibit 8 are the revised recommended license conditions, the red line version, filed November 7th, 2025, under Mail Log number 324130, also consisting of 12 pages. And those are all our exhibits, Your Honor. If I would respectfully request that they be entered into the record at this time.
Okay, PPRP Exhibits 1 through 8 are marked and are entered into the record by stipulation.
Thank you, Your Honor. And we have with us today for questioning Ms. Barbara Brox.
Good afternoon. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the testimony that you're about to give? I do. And can you please state, spell your first and last name for the record?
Barbara Brox, B-A-R-B-A-R-A-B-R-O-C-K-S.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Do you have your direct testimony in front of you?
I do.
So on page 8, you stated that PPRP was not aware of any public comments that have been made, I guess, as of the date of your testimony. You attended the in-person public hearing, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. That is incorrect. There were two ladies who got up and spoke regarding the church's view.
Yes, that's what I recall.
Yes, that portion of testimony. How do we revise that?
Your Honor, I believe that the testimony was filed, as you indicated, prior to that second public hearing.
Right. I just wanted to confirm that Ms. Brooks had the same understanding I did, that there were comments about the view from the church at the second public comment hearing.
That is correct, Your Honor, yes. And I did get confused there for a moment that the testimony comes before the in-person public hearing.
So on page 15 of your testimony, the question on line 1 was, does the applicant propose any actions that would mitigate impacts sorry, that has to do with vegetative management. Page 18, under the visual quality and glare section. This is where you indicate that the project was bound by Clyde Young Road, visible to the north, Lagore Bridge Road, visible to the east, and Oak Hill Road, visible to the west and south, and that there are no existing trees along Clyde Young Road and Lagore Bridge Road, and that there are minimal existing trees along Oak Hill Road in the southeast corner. You testified that the closest occupied residential structure is located approximately 230 feet away from the equipment pad on the opposite side of Oak Hill Road from the project. Do you know, if you looked at a map, could you show me which property you were talking about?
Give me just a moment, Your Honor. There's map in. Yes. So in the PAR, page 22.
Yes.
Figure 3.
I see the approximately 230 feet. And are you talking about the blue square? Where's
Blue square is the equipment pad, and the yellow triangle is the closest receptor that we marked at 230 feet.
Okay, so that's the closest occupied structure. So it's not across Oak Hill Road from the project. It's on the same side of Oak Hill Road as the project.
It's on the same side of Oak Hill Road, yes, Your Honor. That's correct. Should not say across. Yeah.
So on page 19, in the middle there, I guess starting on line 12, you testified that due to its location, and again you had the opposite side of Oak Hill Road from the project, the closest residence will be visually mitigated by a 25-foot wide landscape buffer and the setback for Oak Hill Road.
And that would not be the case, as it's not on the adjacent side of Oak Hill Road, as we stated.
Okay.
However, it will be buffered by, we'll have the landscape buffer too for visual impact.
Okay. And then you go on at the bottom, line 17. Additionally, visual impacts will be almost entirely eliminated by the landscape buffer. Did you take that from the applicant's testimony or ERD? Or do you know that from something PPRP did?
That was a combination of reviewing the applicant's data request, though it is not in here as a footnote. Applicant's response to data request 1-16 included a photo simulation.
A photo simulation?
It did. And that's actually,
Where's that?
give me just a moment, Your Honor.
Sure.
So it was not printed, it's under mail log number 318432.
You said 318432?
Yes, Your Honor.
So I pulled that up. I see Clyde Young Road Solar 1 LLC response to PPRPDR1, and then an attachment 1-4 PV system report, and then a concept plan and a revised glare study.
And there should be one more that says
Oh,
photo.
photo simulation report.
And the photo simulation was designed to show images of the project, the landscape at different stages of maturity and locations.
Is this in the record, Ms. McLemore?
No, Your Honor, it is not. It was filed by the applicant, but we can enter into the record at this time.
Your Honor,
If you'd like.
I apologize to interject, but the applicant's responses to PPRP data request number 1 has been entered into the record.
Okay. Because I asked your client if there was any visual evidence, and he said no.
I understand, Your Honor. To the extent that it would be acceptable, both of the witnesses are available. To the extent you would want to question them with respect to this is under applicant exhibit 6.
Which one are you going to offer for that?
May I?
Yeah,
I believe it would. I would believe it would be Mr. Clemmer, but I would like to confirm that if that's acceptable, Your Honor.
All right.
I apologize. It's actually Mr. Funk will be speaking to that, Your Honor.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't know that existed. So your testimony is that you reviewed those photographs and made a determination based on those?
Photographs as well as, yes.
So on page 27 of your testimony, you have a section heading of cultural and aesthetic resources.
Your Honor.
And then under that section, you talk about the Maryland Historical Trust letter, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so what I'm trying to ascertain is why the heading is cultural and aesthetic resources. Is it something that the Maryland Historical Trust dictates? Because the letter, as I read it in the appendix, really only states that there's no historic properties. And it's not clear to me whether they're talking about on the site or in the surrounding area, but it doesn't say anything about cultural and aesthetic resources. If you know.
I do not know the answer to that, Your Honor.
So you don't know whether a church in the vicinity of a project would be considered a cultural or aesthetic resource?
No, Your Honor, I do not know if we would classify a church as being the cultural and aesthetic resource, but I could look into that if that's something.
Ms. McLemore, do you know why that PPRP has always gone beyond 7207, which only talks about effect on historic sites and talks about cultural and aesthetic resources?
Well, aesthetic is also a part of what we're required to do, and so that we include that as well, Your Honor. But in
How about
this,
cultural resources?
that's socioeconomic. So we do look at that.
This is a different section. Under this section, she's only talking about the letter from the Maryland Historical Trust. You talk about aesthetics under visual impacts, and you talk about socioeconomics under a completely different section.
Yes, Your Honor. Typically, we have put those together. In this case, she did not talk about the church. In my opinion, it would likely go under this. We did not talk about it here because we did not include it in her testimony. That's typically where we have addressed that, but that is why it's not in this testimony.
Can you tell me, PPRP used to talk about properties within a certain distance from a project, and more recently they're only talking about historical properties right on the site. Do you know why the change?
I believe MHT is also looking in surrounding areas, but I could take that as a bench DR and provide that to you to make sure that I'm correct, that they still do look at that.
So the MHT review was actually attached to Ms. Brock's testimony, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
The finding was the undertaking will have no adverse effect on historic properties. But it neither says that the church is historic or not historic. It doesn't say anything about how far from the project the Maryland Historical Trust considered things, correct?
No, Your Honor. I do not believe MHT would be looking at the church. I believe that it would have been covered under that heading. However, it was not covered in this testimony because it was raised as a part of the public hearing. I do believe that PPRP still looks at items in the area, including cultural.
How would I know that? From the PAR?
Give me one moment, Your Honor. Your Honor, there's a general statement in 1.0 introduction, but as I said, it is very general, but it indicates that PPRP did do potential impacts on environmental and cultural resources in Maryland under 3306. So there's that general. And
If you think that there's more, you can certainly take time after this hearing and find that and point me to it.
thank you, Your Honor. We will do that and submit it as a DR.
And then if you have information about what you think the distance that MHT is looking, that would be helpful as well.
But for historic, correct, Your Honor?
Correct. Well, so there are two different items.
So just for clarification, I want to make sure we're answering the correct question.
Okay, so I want to know from MHT's response, I'd like to know what distance they looked at, how far beyond the project boundaries they looked.
Okay.
And because I can't tell from their letter. And I would like to clarify that the church is not historic.
Okay, Your Honor.
And then I would like to know what PPRP, what distance PPRP assessed. It used to be, I thought, like a mile from the project. There used to be testimony about
Yes,
properties within a distance of a project, and that's has disappeared. So I don't know what you've looked at under the general effect on cultural resources. And then I'd also like to know whether the church is considered a cultural resource. That's a legal question. I don't know the answer to. So I guess what I'm saying is I needed something a little more definitive with regard to the impact on the church.
Yes, Your Honor, I understand. If we provide that by next Monday, is that soon enough, Your Honor?
That's fine with me.
Okay, thank you.
And Ms. Brox, PPRP didn't review the decommissioning plan in this case, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Because PPRP believes it's likely that there will be minor changes to the project area, array layout, access drives, equipment pad locations, and landscape buffers, according to your testimony on page 29, correct?
That is correct.
Did you hear Mr. Funk's testimony? No, I'm sorry, Mr. Clemmer's testimony?
Yes, Your Honor, where he discussed that most of the changes he thinks were going to be made just to signature blocks.
Yes, and he testified that actually the decommissioning plan is likely not going to change. You heard that?
I did. But PPRP would wait until after we got an approved final site plan for assurance that the decommissioning plan is in fact set. The final site plan is in fact set, and the decommissioning plan that's in place is for what has been approved by the county.
But the county's not going to approve it, right?
That's correct. The decommissioning plan will not be approved by the county, but the site plan will.
Mr. Scher, would you kindly come up here, please? If you could provide one of these to Mr. Cook and Ms. McElmore.
Thank you.
So I'm showing you what I'm marking as bench exhibit 1. Have you ever seen this document?
Yes, Your Honor, I have.
Do you know how PPRP utilizes this document?
I have a vague understanding of how this is used, and that is simply because this is my second case, and it's not yet moved to having to look at a decommissioning plan for an approved site.
Okay, what's the title of this document?
Review of decommissioning considerations for solar energy projects in Maryland.
Okay, and it's a technical memorandum?
That is correct.
Do you know when it was submitted to PPRP?
No, Your Honor, I do not.
Okay. On the second page, there's a date of June 2024. But I don't know if that relates to the date of the document or not.
Your Honor, I do know that this before, when it was, I believe it was developed a little prior to that date, prior to June, so it might be somewhat outdated. I do know that PPRP is currently working on decommissioning to update their guidance on it, if that is helpful.
Okay, bench Exhibit 1 is entered into the record.
Your Honor, do you want PPRP to indicate what might need to be updated or anything as another bench data request?
I'm sorry, updated to the technical memorandum?
Yes.
You think PPRP has updated this?
Or I believe they're working on decommissioning, so there may be an ability to show you what might need to be updated.
Okay, yeah, if you have any updates to this, I'll certainly accept them.
Okay, and we may not have the actual information, but it might, for example, I know there's more cases that have been done, and so there may be some updates like that.
Okay.
But that might take a little longer, but I'll try to get it to you also next Monday.
That's fine. But Ms. Brock's indicated limited familiarity with it, so I wasn't able to ask her any questions about it. Would appear, though, that PPRP has quite a bit of information about decommissioning. Thank you. Mr. Funk, you're recalled. You're still under oath. You testified earlier that you had no visual evidence to provide me. Did you want to change your testimony?
Yes, Your Honor. I apologize. This was prepared by a civil engineer from.
And when you say this, you mean applicant Exhibit 6?
Yes, excuse me. This was coordinated, requested and coordinated with a third party to be prepared on behalf of New Leaf Energy. The civil engineer that coordinated this is no longer with our company, and it seems as though during the transition of assigning a new civil engineer to this project internally, that this more or less got lost in the shuffle, and I apologize that I misspoke earlier.
Can you tell me, you've looked at it though? You know what it is? You're not familiar with it?
I'm not entirely familiar with this deliverable, no.
Is anyone else?
My civil engineer, who's not able to make it today, would probably be. I was unaware that this was submitted in the data request response to the PPRP.
Okay, so the first, I know you're not terribly familiar, but I'm just going to explain my observations. The first picture is it's in the northeast corner. It's on the corner of Lagore Bridge Road and Clyde Young Road, looking at the project, looking at the site without the project. And then the second picture would be the same exact viewpoint but now there's solar panels and there are some trees. My first reaction to this is that it sure doesn't look like a 25-foot wide buffer, and there are gaps between the trees, which kind of raises some questions. I don't know if it's, I guess it's year one growth, which I understand in terms of height, but I don't understand in terms of width.
Yes,
There's probably a lot I don't understand about these because I don't know how they were created, but it's something. So then I'm trying to get down to the southeast corner.
Your Honor, I believe it's located on page 21 of 42. Is the beginning of that.
So 22 would be what you and I were discussing earlier. You're on the road and you see panels, although I suspect you would tell me that this was done prior to the extension of the landscape buffer?
Yes, Your Honor, I would assume so. As I stated, I'm not terribly familiar with this rendering. However, that would be my assumption, yes. And that would also explain why it's not showing a 25-foot depth in the buffer. I'm not sure that the depth or the location of the buffer was established prior to this visual rendering.
Do you know how it was done?
I do not, Your Honor. I'm not familiar.
It appears that there's a photo 5 south of the project, west of the church, and then a photo 6, which is more on the corner opposite the project, and there's not really one right at the southwest corner of the intersection of Lagore Bridge Road and Oak Hill Road. Okay, anything else that you have to add? Any questions based on my questions?
No, nothing, Your Honor. I would indicate that to the extent that you desire some additional clarification, we could treat that as a bench data request and provide Your Honor with that regarding details surrounding when this was done, what it accounts for, widths.
Well, I think actually probably what would be more helpful is an updated version of it with a view from the church, as opposed to something that was done that's not completely accurate, that we don't know how it was done.
Your Honor, I don't know how long that would take. I'd be happy to coordinate with my client and discuss what type of turnaround time we would be able to do for that.
Okay, you can get back to me.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, did you have an exhibit you wanted to enter into the record?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. Thank you.
I'm sorry. You don't need to hang out there.
Thank you.
Yes, staff has one exhibit. It's the direct testimony of Somerwit Durrari, and that was filed on September 30th, 2025, consisting of 20 pages under mail log number 322873.
Okay, Staff Exhibit 1 will be marked and entered by stipulation. All right, so the record will be held open to receive PPRP's responses to the bench data request issued today and to receive some information from the applicant about how they'd like to proceed with respect to Exhibit 6, applicant Exhibit 6. Okay? Anything else? You're looking at me like you have a
No,
question?
nothing, Your Honor.
All right.
No, Your Honor.
We're adjourned.
Thank
You-
you.